Hi, it's Ethan. I'm here at Overlook Park in Seminole County, right next to Lake Jessup. This is where I filmed the John Hersey video that nobody watched. But since we decided to take the weekend off of Disney, and then we are blacked out from Disney for the next 2 weeks after that, we will be returning around April 22nd, so not quite the end of the month, but close. So we'll cram everything in then. So instead, what happened was, so we came down a year ago yesterday. So today is April 2nd. So April 1st, believe it or not, we set foot in Florida with the intent of getting jobs and relocating here. And we had laid it all on the line to do it, and I'm happy to just report, as well people know or can surmise, that it worked. We did it. It went quicker for Jamie than it did for me as far as getting jobs. But during my whole job hunt fiasco back then, and with the temp jobs I was working and everything, I tended to have either Friday off when it was the long-term contract, or I was just getting bits and pieces jobs, and so I had X amount of time off in between. So one time I was like, well, it's on my list to see wild gators, and I Googled where to go see them, and it turns out that this park right here is one that supposedly you can see gators at. Now, Lake Jessup is pretty flippin' huge, all things considered, and so that's kind of like saying, go to this haystack and you'll find needles in it. Gators, if they're in the water, it's like, first of all, they're like a log, and you have to just kind of catch them at the right angle and moment. The other thing is that if they're on the banks, a lot of this is private, so it's not you can just like walk the banks and find them. And you kind of don't want to find them. You want to just kind of see them decoratively. So I was very fortunate my first trip to this park that I saw a baby gator in the inlet over here. It's like off to the back in that way somewhere. And then there's the actual lake, which is over that way. There we go. So there's the lake, sort of. By the way, as a memo to my parents, that's where I keep losing my cell reception when I talk to them, because it's like it's in between cell towers, apparently. So it's like I lose it one and pick up the other, hopefully. So it's a crapshoot. Anyway, today was Gator Fest. This is just nuts. There was all kinds of adult gators in the actual lake, and they cluster, and it turns out from kind of watching them, they're trying to pick up on who found food, and then if someone does, because I saw a gator feed, then they tend to kind of meander over that general direction. So kind of like fishermen, that if fisher people see someone catch a fish, then they kind of tend to move over that way, kind of nudge, or cast in that direction. So that's kind of what they're doing. Well, then in the inlet, then there's a baby gator. And I'm so oblivious. It's like I get tunnel vision, so I'll be looking at whatever, and then it's like they're right there. So there's one right on the banks. So now that I'm done yakking, here's the raw footage to show you all the gators that I saw, and then other wildlife around this park. It's a really tiny park, but a lot of wildlife gets crammed in a very small amount of area, which is typical Florida, I think. One of the things I saw on one of my trips here one time is I was just kind of sitting on the bench and saw an eagle dive for a fish. I'm like, yeah, I'm not in Chicago anymore. So enjoy wild gators. Here's the gator count right now. There's 3 right there in a cluster. There's another one. I'm trying to get it in view here. There's another one coming up. And there's the first one I saw hanging out over here. 5 gators. This is like a record for wild gators that I've seen in a single sitting here. This is crazy. And baby makes 6. It scampered off the bank when I walked by on the boardwalk here. It's the baby. This is the first for me. I've yet to see one on land in the wild. It's the baby. And 7. Records just keep shattering all over the place. if this is going to turn out at all. A gator's got something. One of the three in the cluster dove underwater and then came up and splashed for a second, but not long enough to catch it on film. How about this?
No!